Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Show here and now. Before we do get started, let me give a brief little review. In the last part, we had a number of events happening. Now, Deku, him and Shomo decided to go on an adventure. Shomo, he was upset about what he saw his father do. Deku, trying to make up for this, decided to let Shomo choose an adventure that both of them will go on. However, it had a little bit of rules. Number 1. Deku will limit himself depending on the adventure. If he does need to, he will push a little past Shomo's level, but he will only do so to keep him safe. Number 2. He will be using lesser equipment than what he does have. Technically, being a quote-unquote shadow of Deku means his adamantine armor is not technically real. It's only magically imbued armor. Now, Deku and Shomo, they picked up some different gear. While the real Deku is using a scythe to cause chaos in hell, Deku is left with the Nodachi, the Tanto, and the Twin Blades. And the two then went to the biggest magical shop in the city, where they picked up a few magic items, and Deku, he even bought a sand skimmer, a magical vehicle that will allow them to travel in any terrain, especially because it has one advantage. It's like a giant boat with a large ring behind them. Where a fan should be, it will blow wind magic and allow them to travel very fast. Now, Deku, he allowed Shomo to pick up 2 party members, and they are heading out to try and deal with a bandit camp that may or may not have slaves. Meanwhile, Deku, he is mentally preparing himself for Lillian's phone call. Since the day before, he ran into a noble, or a prince, and the man, he made a rather bad comment about Deku's fallen allies, to which Deku took that quite personally. And after making the man grovel in a literal puddle of his own urine, he gave the man a taste of that curse that drove him insane. And he had to be carried out by his guards. Now then, with that being said, let's currently pick up the next morning. Deku, he does go to someone sit there, meditating, trying to think about what he's going to say to Lily. Valin might have something to say as well. She's taking care of the kids, and fact of the matter is, Indra, she's probably busy dealing with the boys. The two of them can be quite rowdy. Then again, his daughter, he's seen, has been a little bit more subdued. Probably there is something about female dragons being more mature. At the same time, it does make him question more about what he's heard about human children. Especially given the fact that all of them are less than 3 months old. But from what he understands about dragons, they're born well aware of the land around them, well aware of a ton of things. So that might be playing a part in either scattering them around a bit or making them a lot more immature. They're definitely not independent, but he wouldn't say that they're reliant completely on people. That thought certainly is one he'll have to give more food to. Though right now Shomo does sit next to Izuku, him trying to meditate as well, but being a little bit more antsy. Him shifting a bit and trying to bring up the subject to Deku. Not sure exactly how to broach it. Morning meditation certainly is interesting. He wouldn't say it's bad, but they're on an adventure. They should be going out there and continuing this adventure, right? That's not just him. And right now, you do have his other two party members. They are done packing up the rest of the camp. And there is where Miyako does go to walk up. Her coyly trying to talk about how they've got everything prepared. They put what they could back into their storage rings, and if it's not too much trouble, are they going to go now? Him going to turn, opening an eye, and talking about it. They can certainly go. He was trying to commune with a spirit here, but it doesn't seem like any are willing to talk. A spirit? Yes. It's a bit of a long story. I've learned a lot more about one of my powers, and I've mastered it. Then again, mastering it and being able to use it properly are far different from what you'd think. Just because I have the capability for one magic doesn't mean I know how it works. I can get started down that path, but it will certainly take me time to get to the point of mastery, especially to the point of an archmage, but I'm kind of used to that at this point. I've put a lot of focus into one of my powers. Really? I've heard a rumor if it's not too impersonal. Shomo going to jump up, and he does go to say it somewhat nonchalantly. Yes, his mentor discovered some sort of forbidden magic. No, he won't teach her. He's kind of strict about that. He, bring a hand up to the back of his neck. He kind of stole it, though if it wasn't for Master Izuku, he might have blown up the city he was in. Deku glancing at Shomo. His eyes fall into the ground at his gaze. And she does gotta raise an eyebrow. I was gonna ask how many magics you have. This being where Makota does go to step in, talking about it. He was kind of curious about that himself. His tail going to somewhat waggle in a bit of excitement. And Deku, he does go to talk about it. Well, that's a bit of a question. Are they talking about the magics he's mastered, or are they talking about the ones he has in total? Because that is a bit more personal. You've mastered magics? More than one? I've mastered a few. I'm not completely mastered at the forbidden magic, but I've mastered at least 7 disciplines. 7? Both the two leaning forwards. And even Shomo does get to have his face drop in surprise. Him talking about it. That's about half. He's got 15 different magic types. Then again, he has dropped some of them since he's gotten more interesting forms, especially from the divine. And that it only makes their jaws seem to drop further. As Deku does go to hold up a hand, and on every single one of his fingers, different forms of magic do go to pop up, some conflicting with each other, talking about it. And the two, they just stare on. If there was any doubt of this man being the hero of Granala, it just disappeared. Especially considering the fact that that strange magic on his other hand, she does not recognize. I mean, water magic, fire magic, ice magic, and wind and earth, those elements, half of them don't go together. And he does a somewhat chuckle out before he does go to look down into the crystal on his neck, going to glow. him letting out a sigh and going to pull it free. Before he does, it'll hold it up, and it does then go to activate. Lillian, going to sit there. Did you curse a prince? Good morning, Lily. To answer your question, no. He'll just be suffering from my memories for the next 6 days. I see. Now, may I ask why you made a display of him? I'm assuming that there's a reason. And right now, his father is trying to breathe down my neck about this issue. Several people can attest to it, Lily. The man made a comment about my former allies. He disrespected the dead and spoke ill of them. I simply made him atone for it. I see. He talked about your friends? Yes, he did. He decided to say something I didn't like. I lost my temper, and I was lucky enough to just crush his windpipe. Any more strength, and I would have killed him. By mistake. I held back, obviously, but even then, I was a bit more worried myself. I thought I should just kill him, but knowing you, it would cause a political incident. Not exactly very good that I would kill someone and then, I would just roll over and act like nothing happened. Especially considering that right now people are well aware of our relationship. Yeah, that. This puts me in quite a different place, Izuku. A difficult place. You understand that. Well, I might have suitors, I feel they may back off, which might be a silver lining to this incident. I'm sure it is. Listen, I'm sure you're going to have a bit of a headache with this, but I can make it up to you whenever I get back. Oh? Her ears going to somewhat perk up, them wiggling in a way only an elf's would, showing a bit of interest and a little bit of excitement. Yeah, we can go on a proper night on the town and, well, you know. Sure. But what exactly do you have planned? Deku giving her a bit of a cheeky grin. And when her face does turn bright red, she does gotta bring her hand up. Her coughing into her fist and telling him, well, if he's gonna have a bit of an audience. Oh, well, yes, well, I have an audience as well. If he's gonna talk about these matters, perhaps it would be better in person, especially if it's a private matter of this sort. Her leaning in, though her cheeky smile does betray her seriousness. And Deku does gotta tell her. Perhaps they can later. Right now, though, the original is dealing with another crisis. And they are on an adventure. I see. As for what we'll do with the king of the foreign nation, no, if we need to, we can just pay him off with some gold. Though I'm fairly certain if we do hold a royal event, I can work something out. The man may not want to be on my bad side, and if he's made aware of what his son said to me, I'm sure that can certainly go around. Perhaps stir up the rumor mill a bit. There were several witnesses, so ask them. They're adventurers. Eventually word might spread. Her nodding, though she does go to bring her hand up and wave goodbye to Deku. And whenever he does go to lower the crystal back down to his neck, he gives a turn to the other two, talking about it. They should go now. Was that the Queen of Granola? Him casually walking past the two and making his way over to the skimmer. Right now, going to hop on one of the seats and go to lean back relaxed in one. Shomo walking over and asking if he's going to drive, to which Deku does going to throw a finger over to the controls, telling him about what he's going to do. And Shomo, he is a bit more concerned, but Deku does going to tell him it's his adventure. And right now, he'll be on lookout for where to go. And Shomo, he is a bit more concerned. Though whenever they do get to start driving around and he does get used to the controls, he does feel a bit more invigorated and excited about this. A bit more happy about it. And while he does drive a little faster than he should, it does get them there sooner. And Miyako and Makota, the two are very excited, even asking if they can get their own chances to drive. To which Shomo does go to allow. And when they do go to arrive a few hours later into the day past noon, Deku, he does go to step up. Right now them pulling up to an encampment outside of a nearby town. It was said that the slavers would be close by. They took out an adventuring party that came after them. Then, fact of the matter is, they started holding up in an area that was able to sustain itself against multiple raids. A place that will be hard to penetrate. But Izuku himself, he's not too worried about that. Though whenever the two do both go strolling into camp, people do to see these two, concerned about them. The three people this man walked up with, they are low-level adventurers. This is at the very least a bit higher in priority of a quest. While it typically would be assigned to lower ranks, these men are far stronger than they should be. They're unpredictable, and the area they're held up in is good against defense. And Izuku does to walk over to see a Beastkin commander. The man turning to his subordinate and asking her if she believes that these people will be able to help them. Otherwise, they may just get in the way. And she does get to stare on at the party, her giving a glance to Deku and trying to read his magic. Though she does get to stare at him confused. Her magic itself, unsure of how to read him. His magic is... No, he's... She's not sure how to even analyze him. It's like there's a hole where he should be. And this does highly intrigue her. Her turning back to the commander and not sure how to report in. Talk about how they might need to play things as they go. When the man does go walking over to greet them, he does try to ask why they're here. Hello, we are from Granola. We heard about this event. It was something that my apprentice Shomo was quite interested in helping in. Yes, hello. Him stepping forwards, bring up a hand and informing the man. He's the leader for this quest of theirs. His master gave him command. They were hoping to help fight against the slavers, possibly retrieve people and help. I see. That's admirable. Him grabbing Shomo by his wrist, and the two do to shake their arms that way, telling him perhaps they could be of some help, but he's concerned about their particular powers. Deku holding up a hand and informing him. He can do a lot. Right now, though, he would just need the word to intervene and handle the situation. Then again, what's going on in the fort? He's aware that there's hostages, so it's a hostage situation. If they charge, they threaten to kill them. And he's not exactly happy about that fact either. If he's certain of it, then they are holed up there and they have a limited supply of food. So that's a limited amount of time they're willing to negotiate peacefully. I see. You are correct on both matters. Deduction is good. Then again, that is another thing we are worried about. We've been providing them some meals and have even offered to treat their slaves of injuries. But they believe that we would sabotage the potions or potentially give them something that would harm them. They're unwilling to take our food, believing that we might have had a witch put something into it. That is another one of our concerns. I see. Well, have you thought about sending someone in? We have, but we don't exactly have someone who may be able to outstealth their particular senses. The leader is a beast man, and he can shift in a way that isn't a werewolf, but I get it. The remnants of a curse passed down his line. Correct, yes. You seem well informed. I am well traveled, and I have gained much knowledge in time. I see. And your power? Simple. I'm gonna go ahead and keep that to myself right now, but perhaps I can go in, give you a basic layout as to what to do, see more about this fort myself, and we go from there. If we do need to, we can sneak in at night. We can execute the people in charge, or if we can capture them. But those are just the options we do have currently available. Shoma? Huh? Sorry. Yeah, sorry, I kind of took over your adventure. No. No, you're alright. You're making valid points. But do we even have enough of a small force that could sneak in? I mean, like you said, it's a possibility. But we're not sure about numbers, senses. If the guy's a beastman, his senses are higher. Just like yours. Shimo nodding his head, freezing, and not realizing that was an option. He knows his senses are high, but he mainly tries to. Huh. That is interesting. Deku's smiling, seeing that Shomo caught on to something he's trying to give him. He has an advantage that humans don't have. Senses. And this, he's hoping, can lead to him figuring out something for himself. Well, right now, Shomo does a shake his head and try talking about it. He could use destruction magic to destroy the front gate. Perhaps that could work? Even if it is magically inscribed or has runework to protect it, they can break through it. You're not wrong on that, but the moment anyone starts to approach the gate, they may either see it as a hostile act or they may see it as some sort of negotiation. Or, and I'm saying this as a plan, what if I go in as another hostage for them? Shomo, what are you saying? Deku giving him a skeptical look. And this time, he is actually a bit more uncomfortable at what he might be trying to plan. I'm just saying, if we show them that we're either willing to give them another hostage to smooth things over, and I give them supplies, they might be more willing to negotiate. Or they might be willing to kill you. Yes, but if I sneak in solo and they catch me, then I can claim to be working alone. I mean, put on another, put on a hood, a cloak, maybe, and pretend to be a rogue. Sneaking around and trying to deal with that. I'm agile. Okay, I see your point. But what about the slaves then? They might either imprison you separately or they might imprison me with them. If I'm nearby, I can protect them whenever you guys raid the place. I can give you a signal. If they don't take your gear, true. True. This is hard. It is, young man. Don't feel ashamed of it. We know roughly the numbers they have. They have about 20 to 30 men and women. Along with that, their slaves are around those numbers as well. Some beastkin and other demi-humans as well. Then again, I'm less likely to negotiate with these people. I'd rather them sit there and starve, to be honest. They've done horrible things. Their reputation isn't good, and it is... Sorry. I get a bit worked up with this matter. A friend of my family's was a slave. Deku nodding his head, and giving the man a bit of a sympathetic look before talking about it. Sabotage is an option. Though, looking at Shomo, asking if he'd like to make this a little bit easier, and Shomo does a turn looking at Deku, to which he does talk about it. He has a stealth ability. If he can go in, he can protect the slaves. They can start a frontal assault and things can start to go down. Afterwards, he can find them when the chaos starts when he frees the slaves. He can take the front gate and deal with people there. Him turning the commander. And the man does gonna nod his head. Though he does give Deku a bit of a curious look, asking him if he could have just done this from the beginning. I could have, yes. But right now I'm trying to control the situation as best as I can. We can wait till nightfall. I can check on the slaves right now, but until nightfall, I'd say we have our best bet. Out in the day, they're expecting something. During the night, they may be a bit more relaxed. I see your point. Perhaps you are correct. Him going to escort them to the camp where they do get a tent. And right now, different people, they're going back and forth on strategies. Some watching the fort and communicating with others about their patrols around the area. If they let these people out of their sight for one moment, they may try to run, bolt, get away. And that is not a good option for them. And Deku, he does go to run Shomo through some drills about how exactly to use his weapon. Him even being a little bit more aggressive with how to use a blade. Even trying to tell Shomo about how if an enemy does attack him, then he will not show mercy. Trying to ask him once again if he is willing to kill somebody. And Shomo, he does go to somewhat hesitate. But Deku, he does go to catch his last strike, pulling it, as Shomo, he does just want to sit there. He does look determined, but he does also carry that wariness of morality. Someone who's not used to being put in a situation he's unfamiliar with. He asked for a life of adventure. And right now, he's hoping Shomo sees at least the good side. Not the nitty-gritty he knows exist for it. The kid's about to get a crash course. And all he can really do is damage control. Especially for this damn adventure. Right now, them waiting for nightfall. And after a few more hours have passed, everyone they have begun to somewhat relax. Though Deku he does gather with some of the commanders and Shomo, him talking about the plan he does have. He can sneak into the fort and check on the slaves, see about who may be guarding them, and make sure they're protected. Then again, there is the simple fact that the people at the fort will also have long range weapons. And this, Shomo does get to point out. If they have any of the muskets or bows and arrows, that could be another problem, especially magical weapons. Yes, sir, that is correct. Magical weapons may be our most well, it would not be good. Do you have a level for the commander? Yes. He's about level 97. I see. And what's the highest level here? The commander going to raise his head and tell him. He's a level 100. Though the Beastman, his stats may be higher. If you can assume his transform, that may impair his ability to face him. And then again, if they can take out their forces and then target him, they can win. And he does understand. Rano Deku going to vanish. After telling them, he'll give them the signal. And this, they do to watch on, turning to Shomo and wanting to ask questions. And right now Izuku does gonna pop up in the fort. Him going to conceal his presence and vanish into the background. A guard standing there in front of the door and shouting something at somebody. As the door does unlock and a person does come walking out, shouting something about the damn brats they have, since all they do is cry and bitch. And this Deku immediately does not feel sorry about. Right now him making his way over and grabbing one of the man by the shoulder. And when he doesn't give the man a firm squeeze, he collapses immediately. His collarbone going to break as all that sudden jolts of pain hits him at once. And Deku does get to bring up his hand. Right now the other man makes it down the hall, turning and getting the sense of nothing but death. And when he doesn't freeze cold in his tracks, he has a turn. As there is where he does have someone grab the back of his neck and turn, slamming him directly into the wall, as he does go to slump against it and go to slowly move down. Deku bending down and going to search for a key. And when he doesn't find it, he does go to take it. Right now, bringing his hand up and giving Shomo a signal. And he does stand there with a lot of the other warriors, along with his party members who do begin to make their way towards the fort. And they do make it well known what they're doing. Right now, the people in the fort going to scurry for battle. Some people do go to jump awake, and others, they are trying to get their bearing. A man is shouting orders and commands. Another person is talking about what they've got to do. They've got to find the people overlooking the slaves, and if they do need to, make an example by bringing one here to execute. If they want to try and rush them, they need to try to deter them as much as possible. And this Deku does not feel remorse for. Him watching as some people do grab bow and arrows. Though when he does go see magical muskets, he does go to watch them. A man loading up a shot as he does a turn, looking at the oncoming forces, and someone they do go to blast a fireball at the fort. Right now, it being joined by a gust of wind and other magical attacks. And he does a turn seeing mages on the tower going to start attacking. And Deku, he does take one of the men with a magical gun out. him turning and beginning to pull his blade and making his way down the line. And people, they do begin to start falling. Right now, a mage turning, we just see a man moving in the dark. Though all he does is see is those eyes that do come after him. And whenever Deku does to kick the man off the tower, he does get sent crashing off the ground and landing on one of his arms. Him roaring out in pain as Shoma and the others do get to the front door. Right now, him bringing his hands up and blasting out destruction magic. And when the door, it does have the magical symbols around it, go to break and shatter, the door, it does begin to burn through. Right now, them watching as it does begin to somewhat dematerialize in certain spots. Not exactly disintegrated, but just turned to dust. Not even a fire. And people do somewhat stare on. Though whenever the commander does a roar out a battle cry, people do rush forwards, as the bandits do begin to make their way in as well. And Deku does somewhat stand there at the top, still in a bit of a kimono and holding on to one of his blades. Right now, him debating whether or not to take out the commander. He does to watch Shomo. Him going to pay clear attention to what exactly his opponent is doing. And right now, Shomo, he is going back and forth with the man. Though the man, he quite clearly is not proficient in magic. But what he doesn't have in magic, he is clearly making up with swordsmanship. The guy's a bandit, but he's better trained than Izuku would have thought. And right now, Shomo, he does go to be on the back foot. The man throwing a fist out and clocking his apprentice across the face. Shomo, not used to somebody, fighting dirty as he does go to stagger back. Makota, he does come in. Him rushing the man as he does go to throw out his blade and try and slash out towards him. And the man, he does a parry the attack with a short blade, he does a carry. Right now, him going to angle it downwards to the right and go to spin in a half circle. And the kid does try to keep a hold of his blade, but it nearly slips from his grip. Him staggering to the side as the man is a keg a foot up and out towards Makota. Shomo coming in this time and going to slash out. Right now, him going to turn and parry his attack. Him allowing it to come forwards and letting Shomo get in closer. And this time, Deku, he does go to step in. Him bring up a finger and going to blast out into the man's shoulder with light magic. And when the man does a stagger backwards alarmed, Deku does it aim down towards one of his knees, blasting him in that knee and going to somewhat make him stagger a bit more with an opening. And the man does a turn, trying to look for the attacks. And it was when he does get to see a man standing there in the dark, holding up a finger that does glow with power, he does go to glare at him. Him turning back and going to sock someone across the face with his good arm. And whenever someone does a fall backwards to the ground, letting go of his blade, the man does go to raise it up. Him about to thrust down with his attack as Shomo, he does go to bring a hand up and blast the man to the heart with destruction magic. Him scurrying backwards and reaching for his blade. Though he doesn't turn back, finding his left hand pointed out towards the man, he does go to watch him go to stagger backwards. Him collapsing to the ground with a hole in his chest. And Izuku, he does get to stare at that. Him going to step in and move in. Turning to see Shomo as he does have a strange look in his eyes. Fear and regret. And Izuku, he does go to bring up his hand and go to manifest an item from his inventory. The Ring of Time Slipping and activating it. And everyone in the immediate area does go back by a minute. Right now, them just making their way through the fort as the defenders look around confused. Though everyone does have a vague sense of deja vu. Shomo himself freezing as someone does run into him from behind. Right now, him going to stagger forwards and look around. And Deku, he does a reach down, grabbing his apprentice and pulling him to his feet, talking about what they've got to do. Him holding up his Tanto and telling Shomo, right now they've got to disable their opponents. Him and Makoto could work together. But where is Miyako? She's a healer. She's not a combatant. Okay, so she's back at camp? Kind of. She's in the back. If anyone needs help, then go to her. Understood. But Deku turning, bringing up his Tanto and parrying a man's attack. As Shomo, he does a turn, thrusting his blade out into the man's side. And when he does a pull the blade back, the man roars out in pain, staggering backwards. Deku stepping in and slashing the man across the chest. And whenever he does go to kick it out with his foot, the man does go to crash backwards and clutching at his wounds. Shomo alarmed and looking down at the blood on his blade. Deku turning and telling him, right now it's a fight for survival. The man here could kill him and not lose an ounce of sleep. Right now, though, be careful. Stick close to him, and they'll get through this. And Shomo does get to do so. Deku mainly tries to parry attacks, though he does let one or two slip through Shomo's defenses for him to try and fend off. The kid, he is on the back foot, and he even does go to imbue one of his blades with destruction magic along the edge. Him surprised when a man's blade doesn't meet his own, only for it to be cut through by butter and then going to stagger directly into Shomo's blade. The man having his armor sliced through quite easily and into his flesh. However, he does get a stagger backwards, smashing to the ground. Shomo does a turn off that ability, well aware as to how much mana it eats away at. Though seeing how effective it is, yeah, he's going to save another one of those. He's got to be more careful, though. He's almost out of magic. A potion? Maybe a potion might be a good idea. Deku going to meet a man's attack as there's a strike down. And Shomo does get a turn as Deku does tell him. He needs to pay attention. Him socking out with his fist into the man's face. Turning to Shomo and telling him, never let his guard down. If he's going to try and strategize, then he needs to keep an eye on his own back. That's how you get killed. And Shomo does nod. This time him looking a bit more determined as he has a turn hearing a howl. And everyone, they do to see the leader of the bandits transforming into what looks like a giant werewolf. Though, no, that's almost a werewolf. And the creature, it does go to let out a massive roar, trying to intimidate everybody as Deku, he does go to watch the commander step up with his own blade. And the man does get a turn as some of his own allies do step in. A large man with a giant sword and a giant shield. A mage who does have two fireballs at the ready to fire at the man. And someone who does have daggers. And from what Deku can tell from the smell in the air, not just the blood, but the green liquid he can see off of one of the tips, that's a poison. That guy's a rogue. They've got that covered. Right now, he should just sit back and relax. Let them take care of it. And Shomo, he does jump into another battle. Him and Makoto wearing down one of the other people here. And when they do to take him out, Deku does a turn seeing them. Being proud that his apprentice is getting the experience he needs. And right now, there is about 10 minutes later. The bandit commander, he succumbed to the poison that the party members were able to use on him. And Deku, he does go to sit there on the stairs as Shomo, him, and Makoto do sit there kind of tired. Shomo took a glancing blow from the strike, but right now he's okay. Makota, he took a few hard knocks himself, but so far he's alright. Though one of those guys with the hammer, yeah, he was barely able to dodge that attack. He's pretty sure he's okay, but he might have some bruises from that glancing blow. And right now, Deku, he does go to stand, bring a hand up, and going to somewhat shuffle Shomo's hair, talking about it. How was that for his first adventure? It was insane. Him going to speak a little louder and going to have his hands tremble. And Deku can tell he's on an adrenaline rush. Right now, telling him about how he can manage the slaves. Turning to the man in charge, who does get to order the bandits to be rounded up so they can serve out their sentences for their crimes. Most of these men are wanted. Then they can divvy up what they can from the loot these men all carried. They won't be needing anything where they're going to be going. And they will split it on an equal playing field for who did what. The man gonna turn, looking over at Deku. And Deku, he does sit there, not even out of breath, and going to stand, pulling a key from his inventory, holding it up and telling everyone he's gonna go check on the condition of the slaves. If they have any healers, he would suggest they come with him. Right now, those people are probably in need of that, along with any food they may have. I'm going to turn, and a small group of people do begin to look around, asking about any injured, and some do get to raise their hands. Deku telling them he's going to go talk to the slaves and see about telling them the situation. Him making his way over and through the corridor, stepping into a room and making his way down a set of stairs, underground, and into a place that was built here long ago. Clearly, this place was meant for holding the area. The barracks are large, and yeah, this place was made to sustain itself. Not for too long, but with the supplies they had here, he doesn't know how long they'd be able to hold out, but certainly for a little bit of time. Him staring at some of the crates in a room. And whenever he does go to walk over to another door, he does go to put the key into it and go to unlock it. And he does hear a series of gasps from the people inside that room. Even hearing some of their heartbeats speed up and others go to take in sharp intakes of breath. Whenever he does a look inside. But when he does pull open the door, he is met by someone going to stand there. Them glaring at him as he does step in. His eyes scanning the room and staring at the condition of these people. And Deku's face does get a drop. Some of these people have flies scattered around them. The smell of death. The sense of death. No. He just thought that that was what they were feeling. This isn't good. There's a woman over there holding the person next to her. No. That kid's gone. The people over there are gone. Some of these people were left to starve. Some are highly beaten, and others are just holding onto the person next to them. Deku turning to the one who does show defiance standing there. They're almost bone thin, but he does get to catch the defiance in their eyes, the rage. And he does stare down at the face of a kid who's been heavily beaten. Though, they are missing an eye and only have one arm. them going to bare their teeth at Deku, and he does get to stare at them. Him stepping forwards. But the kid, he does go to that. They do get to somewhat shuffle half a step backwards, but try to hold their ground, physically shaking and staring at Deku. And he does let a bend down in front of them. And the person, they do get to glare at him. Before their voice, which is dry and hoarse, does tell him, if he's gonna try something, then do it already. Just kill them. And he does a stare at them, meeting their gaze and staring at the collar on their neck. Him glaring at that before he does get to bring up a hand. Right now, him manifesting a water skin and holding it out. And the kid does this stare on surprised, as he's going to tell them. They're now safe. He's got food. And when the healers do to get to the door, they do go to see the situation. Some gasping out in surprise, and some backing away. Bile rising in their throats, unable to stare on at the scene. These people were locked in a room for God knows how long, fighting over scraps that those bastards gave them. And the person, they do to glare at Deku, unsure whether or not to take this skin, as Deku does pull off the top of it and go to take a drink from it, holding it out towards them as they immediately snatch it with their hand, handing it off after they do go to take large gulps. But when they do to run over to a person in a corner, they do to bend down, trying to talk with them, but eventually they do to burst into tears wailing, since the person with them is presumably gone. And that Deku doesn't like. Right now, him turning to look around. He can't sense any souls here. The people here aren't willing to return. And that doesn't fill him with much joy. He could force them to live. But some already accepted their fate. Right now, him going to see the grieving kid as he does it a walk over, bending down and putting a hand to their shoulder. And when they do get a turn roaring out at him, he does go to pull them in close into a hug. The kid, alarmed and tensing up, trying to fight him, but they're just going to wail into his clothes. And he does go to catch something. The kid wailing has fur. They're a monkey person. But what they're missing is a tail. If these men have been as savage as he thinks they are, they chopped it off. They hurt these people to keep them in line. And Deku, when he does a stand, he does a turn, going to walk away as the kid does try to roar out about wanting revenge. And this time Deku does it a stop, turning, and when he does a turn back to the kid, they do get to somewhat stare at Deku's eyes. And that, it does have them alarmed. His eyes are full of sympathy. They're full of, they don't know what that look is. And it does somewhat terrify them. Deku holding out a knife and talking about it. Come on then. Those men are going to kill themselves. And they do get a turn when the healers do get to talk about it. That's not a good idea. And Deku does bring a hand up, healing the kid's injuries as the kid is alarmed when their vision does go to begin expanding, staggering backwards when they do get to feel their left arm beginning to regrow. And they just stare down at their hand, quite surprised, and then feeling their balance be better. And they do go to turn back to stare at their tail. Their body, their muscles are better, in better condition than they've ever seen. In this, it is bittersweet. Them stepping forwards and grabbing the knife from Deku's grip, making their way out of the room and turning. And when they do to get back above ground, Deku does talk about it, turning to Shomo and glancing around to everybody. The men gathered here do wear smug expressions, though Deku, he does a turn watching the kid make their way over to a pile of the bandits who are all tied together. And when she does a jump onto one, stabbing him aggressively, people do try to rush in. But Deku does get to talk about it, stepping forwards. Everybody here involved in this needs to be killed. And everyone does get a glance at him. Right now, they do go to hold their tongues. They're well aware of what slavers can do. That kid looks to be in pretty good condition, but they just got healed. Healing can do a lot. And from what they've heard, that guy is powerful. People are cautious around him. And the surge of magic they felt down there, it was certainly strong. Whatever is happening, they can't be involved in. Then again, with what they're witnessing, those men deserve worse. And that, it can be heard by some people. Some vocalizing it as the kid, they do just roar out in primal fury, stabbing away at some of these men and going to continue to do so. More aggressively, more feral. And whenever Deku does a step back in, she's a turn, trying to stab out towards Deku as he's to catch the blade in her wrist. Right now, him going to pull the blade free and tell her about how it's over. Bullshit. They killed my family. You don't know what that's like. I want them all dead. They're a disease. All of them need to die. I get it. Do you? I don't think you do. How would you feel if you watched everyone you loved die? Everyone you knew burn. Everything you've known gone. Deku giving her a glance before the magic around him does disperse. And she does a stare at the man who is covered in scales, the scars on his face, and looking down. As Deku does go to pull his kimono free and go to allow the scars covering his torso to be seen. And some people do just stare at him, as the girl does stare at his chest, covered in old wounds. Some are markings she's heard in stories, dragon slayer markings. Others are more grievous injuries. And she does a stare at the large gash in particular. And Deku, he does go to turn, telling everybody, right now this is over. Whatever money they could have gotten from the situation will go to them. His cut is out. Right now, if they think he's taken pay from them, tell him. He'll compensate. And the girl does a stare directly at Deku's back, and that wound goes through his entire body. She's not sure what the hell that man's been through, but it's bad. It's very bad. And she does because someone looked at her hands staring at the blood, turning back to the men she just killed. And this time she does go to sit there motionless. Deku going to turn back and go to wrap her in the kimono before turning to Shomo and telling him, they've done their part. Right now, they can turn in the quest. Can we? Oh, what about the survivors? They're doing what they can. I would use resurrection on them, but it's not good. What about her collar? Deku turning, him going to stare at the collar around her neck. And he does it to bring a hand up. Someone stepping in and trying to tell him about how that's delicate work. If he fails to remove it, she will die. And he does at a glance at it. Him going to use evaluation, being given the information that it is a mana-consuming collar. And that does catch his attention. Him bring a hand up and going to carefully allow his own mana to be consumed, trying to see what it can do. It does have a certain rate of absorption. He can tell that. Though he's trying to think about how to break it. It's labeled as a cursed item. Right now, so you try essence? No, it could probably eat that. Divine magic? No. The way the runes are set up, they're supposed to get stronger, and the other curse, constriction, strangle them if they try to mess with the collar. These are vile things. A slave collar. Disgusting. Him bring his hand up again. And this time he does have a bit of an idea. He could try to remove it with a remove curse spell. But, let's see. Him casting it, and it does not go to work. Him going to cast remove greater curse. And this time the spell does go to work. The collar going to pop free as Deku does grab it. And the girl does bring her own hand up, rubbing at her throat as the scar-like markings do so aren't going to be seen. She's clearly tampered with it before. And Izuku, he does it to pick her up. Right now, her just going docile. No more fight and just surprised. And he does go to turn to Shomo, talking about it. Right, go ahead and give them the rest of the money. Shomo glancing at Deku as he does gonna nod his head. Right now, pulling free a bag from his wristband and tossing it to somebody. And the commander does a glance in it and see silver coins. Him nodding and informing Izuku. He doesn't know who he is, but clearly there is more to him than he understands. Can he explain this? Why is he hiding Dragonkin? I'm not Dragonkin. Him going to stare at the man. He's Izuku of Granala. He is the hero. And right now, he is going to fix this issue. He is going to make things quite clear. If he encounters any more slavers, he wants them eradicated. 1 gold coin on each of their heads. He's going to make that quite clear from his horde. That would be enough to slaughter millions. And right now he has a turn to Shomo, walking out of the fortress and back over to their vehicle. And Shomo, he does carry a bit more of a sour expression. Though Deku does going to reassure him. Their next adventure, he's going to be the one to pick. Since this one, it might have been a bit more intense for him. And Shomo does not disagree. The rest of their party members filling into their vehicle and driving away. As right now, they do head back for Granala. And this time Deku, he does it even drive through the night to make sure they get there by the next morning. And when they do, people, they do to see them in the mid-afternoon. Him going to make his way up to the castle and go to inform Lily and the council about his request. And some people are happy to hear about this, though others are concerned about the repercussions. sense, while slaving might be a less than desirable thing, the practice is not necessarily illegal. It is frowned upon. And those who are particularly violent in this action, they are ones who do get bounties placed on them. But right now, what he's asking, it could be a double-edged sword. Yes, it can crack down on slavers, but how do they know people are turning in actual slavers? They're not just turning in innocent people. Especially with the idea that he's asking for them to be turned in dead. And that Deku does have to step back from and think about. We'll figure out a system. Now, if we have someone with psionic abilities, I recommend we hire them. That or order the court mage to use a truth potion. Something to get the honesty out of them. The ingredients for those would be rather notable in price. They are not cheap. Then I would recommend we have someone import them. That is the only solution I see to this issue. And outlawing slavery, I would recommend. I had to watch an innocent child try to shake her mother awake. And she was dead for days. Him glancing around the room. And all of them can see that Deku is not playing on this matter. People died. People were hurt. And right now, it is a very big issue. I am going to hire mercenaries if I need to do this, to deal with this issue. Now, if this is all said and done, I'm going to leave. I'm going to get somebody to check up on the girl. And when I can, I'm going to get her name and make sure she is safe. Lily, if we can speak some other time, it is quite alright. Her nodding her head and telling him. She's well aware of the issue he's facing. It must not be easy. And right now, he does get a nod. Before he does get to leave to try and figure things out. The real Deku is still in hell. And the chaos they're causing, it has certainly stirred the pot. As right now, we do cut down to the 9th circle. It has been under siege for almost a full day. People have died. People have tried contacting places far and wide for assistance. Many of their forces have fallen. The strongest lords they had, the strongest members of their armies, have been slaughtered and killed. But that's just it. They don't know who organized this. They don't know who planned this. If this is a coup or if this is an invasion from other places in hell. The strongest, the deadliest, the most cunning. Whoever is involved certainly needs to pat themselves on the back. And right now we do have a castle where a large door has been barricaded. And the only remaining commanders do stand there, holding their weapons and ready. Some have musket-like weapons, some are holding up blades, and others are ready with fiendish fire to blast away at whatever comes through that fucking door. The castle was under siege, and it was all being conducted by one man. No, not a man. A monster. They tried signaling for aid from other places. It might have been a desperate call, a play of weakness. But they got the same messages back. Requesting backup. Requesting help. And right now, all these people can feel is that creeping feeling in their gut. This is a titan. that power that he wields, it is of a divine. And that, it does give some of them fear. But then there's that chill running up their spine. That presence, that aura, death is what they feel. And right now there is where someone, they do get to teleport into the room. A long, dark-haired man who does go to stand there. And when people do get a turn seeing him, they do go to fall to their knees in relief. My lord, you've come just in time. We need your... Where is the man I appointed to this position? He's dead, sir. Now who is in charge? That would be me, sir. Please, we need your help. The door buckling forwards, and whenever it does get to do so, there is a small silence, and the man does get a turn, as all you can hear is the thundering steps of a man walking forwards. And he does just stand there. Long dark hair, scales covering the side of his face, and all you can see is the glowing orange eyes that appear out of the darkness, followed by the horns on his head. And when the Demon Lord does get to see this mortal in front of him, he does get to hear the sound, dragging metal across the floor. As Deku, he does step in with his red cloak billowing behind him. And it is followed by a scythe. And the man's eyes go wide, as a man he has not seen for several thousand years steps into the room. Planeswalker. This being the thing he does utter in a quavering voice to himself. And Deku, he does get a glare down at the man possessing Kirishima's corpse. His skin has begun to turn gray. His limbs have grown. His hair has turned dark black. And his eyes, they have retreated. Nothing but black orbs showing nothingness. The window to the soul has been shattered. And all that remains is a monster puppeting a friend. And Deku, he does go to bring up the staff and slam the butt of it down for order. The metallic sound echoing through the large room. And the man does express. Breaker of Fate. What is he doing here? Didn't think we'd see you just yet. You, seriously, made a mistake coming here. I am not the one who's made a mistake. You are the one who has made a mistake, Planeswalker. Have I? I don't think you exactly know who I am. I know who you are. You finally come out of hiding after the millennias. But that does not matter. I've found your home before, and I've slaughtered all of you before, and I will do it again. My one mistake was leaving many stones unturned. Nero has told me of this. Yes, the fool of your prophecy. The heroes will fail. You certainly are the fool. Do not dictate fate to me. I am not a part of your little games. Now, where are the heroes? I'm certain they will fall. And Deku, he does go to throw his head back in laughter, his eyes glowing blue, before they do go to fill with a sinister green color. And he does inform the man. He is a Zuku, slamming a fist to his chest, hero of Granala. sent by Ritus to stop him. End this war. And the man does going to turn his head perplexed. He is the hero of Gunala? But how? Fate dictates that no. If he was the hero of Gunala, how could he have existed millennia ago? The labyrinth. What he discovered that day. The information he carries. This man. He can't be. And Deku, he does go to have the staff vanish, informing him. Now then, bringing his hands up and ripping his armor free, letting it fall into his inventory and bring up his hands, informing the man, activating Draconic Empowerment, and then activating Limitless. And the room does get to shake under Deku's spiritual pressure. He does get to watch the Demon Lord stagger backwards, as he does a rush forwards with a sinister grin full of rage. And the man, he does go to bring a hand up and go to vanish. Right now, him trying to get away as Deku does go to send a strike that is to shake the realm. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.